Hey, if you're new to math rock, Midwest emo, and indie guitar, here are 3 great sets of chords to learn. Let's start first by building a major scale on the low E string, starting on the note G. So a major scale is a pattern of steps or distances that goes whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. In this case, we're starting on the note G, so we call this a G major scale. And once again, the sound is... Now, the thing about this scale here is that we can take each one of these 7 notes and we can harmonize it with a certain type of chord, either a major chord or a minor chord. But in this case, we're going to use what are called 7th chords, meaning we have major 7 chords, minor 7 chords, and dominant 7 chords. And to a lesser extent, the minor 7 flat 5 chord, don't worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these notes in the scale here, and we're going to put a chord to it, and we can use these chords to write music. So the first chord looks like this. We have a major 7 chord, in this case, G major 7. For the second chord, we have an A minor 7 chord. And for the third chord, based on the third note of this G scale, we have a B minor 7 chord. Then we have C major 7, D dominant 7. This is one weird shape that stands out. And then we have E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, and then G major 7 again. So for this first set of chords here, we essentially have 3 shapes. And again, the main thing to remember are the shapes and also this formula of major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7, and then major 7. Now, in a normal context, this 7th chord here would be called a minor 7 flat 5 chord. But the voicings that we're using, which are called shell voicings, only contain the root, 3rd, and the 7th of the chord. So there's no 5th. So for the 7th degree here, it's not going to be a minor 7 flat 5 chord because our chord doesn't even have the 5th in it. So this flat 5 business is completely irrelevant to what we're doing. Anyways, with these chords here, we can take them and we can play them in any order, and we can use them as the basis for our ideas here. So when you're learning them, you can go up and down the scale, but I really encourage you, as soon as you've got them down, to try and write some stuff with them. For example, you could start on like the 4th degree of the scale, and then go to the 1st degree of the scale. That's a really common progression, especially in like indie music, going from 4 to 1. So definitely try that. And with these shapes here, a cool thing that we can do is play them based on the A string as well, and we can keep the exact same fingerings. So if we do that, we can build a G major scale on the A string. So we have a G here as well. So the easiest thing to do, I think, is to just descend the scale, or we could ascend from here. But we'll start on this G on the 10th fret, and we'll go. So we're just descending the G major scale. We could ascend from the E string here and then go up to the A string like this. But again, we can put the exact same set of chords to these notes here. So if I descend, then I'll have G major 7, F sharp minor 7, E minor 7, D dominant 7, C major 7, B minor 7. Then we'll go to the E string. We'll have A minor 7, and then G major 7. So again, you can scramble these in order to create some songs and ideas. And the cool thing about doing it on the A string here is that it makes moving a little more easy. So instead of having to jump up here to get a C major 7 sound, I could go right here. Now, there's a different effect being able to reach that chord on the same string. For example, you could slide, but it's still worth knowing it on multiple string sets, as that will definitely help you to learn the fretboard a bit better. Anyways, for the next set of chords, we can plug in different voicings to our scale here. So we don't necessarily even need to use these first set of shell voicings. Like, we could use any kind of chord that we know, as long as it follows the rules of our major-minor system. For example, if you know bar chords even, then you can plug those into the scale too, and you can mix and match them with your shells. But let's say that we want to learn another set of voicings. We can learn another shell voicing, but this time it's going to be a little more spaced out. So it's going to go 1, 7, 3. And these voicings can only be used on the E string, but they're also really nice. So we have major 7 again, G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D dominant 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7. Again, no 5th, so this minor 7 flat 5 thing doesn't matter. It's just an F sharp minor 7 chord. And then we have G major 7. Once again, major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, and then major 7. Don't forget that. So that's our second set of shell voicings. And for the last chords, we have what are called sixth chords. I also like to think of them as inverted triads, but don't worry about that inverted part. Just learn these chords and think about them in terms of how they correspond to each degree of our scale here. And just think about it in that kind of way. So the first chord looks like this for this other set here. And then we have this sound, this C6 chord, D6. We have this sound, and this sound. So a cool trick with these two, these inverted triads or sixth chords are essentially just the shell voicings that we played on the A string, but we'll just take the bass note and move it over to the E string. So if you learned the first set of shell voicings that I talked about earlier, you can just play them on the A string and then move the bass note to the E string. And essentially you'll have some new shapes. So anyways, once you've learned all of this stuff, then you'll have a nice set of starting repertoire that you can mix and match in order to write some cool ideas. For example, we could take this different set of G major 7 chords and A minor 7 chords, and we can just mix and match them, and you can combine that with stuff you already know to write some cool ideas. So anyways, it's up to you to play around with them and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And as one last little tip, if you learn these chords and you decide that you want a little more out of them, then you can use them as a template to build some other sounds. So let's say we take E minor 7, this initial shell voicing here. If I want to make this a little more interesting, then an easy trick that I can do is just move the bass note to create a different sound, right? So if I take this E minor 7 here and I move it to B here, I have to move the bass to B, then I'll get that inverted triad. But what if I moved it to C? Then I'll get a C sus2 chord. So try different stuff like that, where we move the bass note with any of these shapes. It might lead to something that sounds interesting and cool to you. Anyways, have fun learning these, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.